Good morning, beautiful souls. It's Dr. Danny here for another Jeep chat today. We're going to talk about a subject very near and dear to my life and what I do. We're going to talk about pelvic floor health. It's kind of a shy topic for a lot of women, but it's really, really important. Oh my gosh, beautiful sunrise. Let me make this turn and we'll get into it, but I wanted to introduce you to another one of my little Jeep ducks because this one's really cute. He's ready for some action. He's got a little propeller on his head. You see that? Isn't that fun? I don't know what his name would be. But anyway, he's not taking any crap. Look at him. He's ready. He's ready for the apocalypse. So cool. Oh my gosh, what a beautiful morning. The sun is rising right now. It's pretty beautiful. So yeah, pelvic floor health. The pelvic floor, it's like this mesh or net of muscles that hold everything on the bottom part of your body inside your body, and it includes all the muscles around the anus and the vagina perineum area. And a lot of people have problems with this area and they don't talk about it. So what happens is we're born with perfect anatomy, and then we go through life and we get pregnant and we have children, and the weight of these children, of these offspring that we have, tend to cause a lot of stretching and pulling down there. And so as a result, a lot of problems can happen. The pelvic floor is so important for keeping all the stuff inside your body when you don't want to release it, and allowing you to release it when you need to. So when you've got problems with over-relaxation of your pelvic floor, you can have problems with continence. Things like urine, stool, stuff like that. And I've seen all kinds of terrible consequences to, poor pelvic floor health. And you're at risk for poor pelvic floor health later on in life if you've had multiple children. Even if you've had C-sections, just being pregnant can kind of stretch out that pelvic floor. If you're a chronic cougher, so if you have a lot of coughing going on, asthma, you're a smoker, things like that, and you're just coughing. If you have an inordinate amount of excess weight on your body as well, so if you're obese or overweight, and then if you have all those problems together, it can cause massive problems with the pelvic floor. So a lot of women come to us and say, hey, I'm leaking urine, or everything just kind of feels like it's hanging out of me. And unfortunately, guys, there's not really a lot of satisfactory options for pelvic floor health. There's some, like if there's a patient that's suffering prolapse, for example, we can do surgery. We can kind of nip and tuck it, but surgeries come with a lot of problems. It's not just a quick fix. You have to go to sleep. You've got to recover from the surgery. Everything's got to heal right. There's a risk for infection every time you do surgery. And then you can have complications after the surgery, like whatever it is that you do can fail, or it can cause other complications for you. So really the key to like a strong pelvic floor is to, number one, have an awareness of that area as soon as you are aware of it in your life. Once you're like, okay, yeah, I know this is a very important part of my body. Keeping it in shape is a good thing to do. And so how do you keep your pelvic floor in shape? Well, there are actually, believe this or not, a form of physical therapy just for the pelvic floor. Okay, so if you're having trouble with incontinence or prolapse or over-relaxed pelvic floor, there's a type of specialty physical therapy that you can do for the pelvic floor that will strengthen those muscles. Just like any part of your body, if you want it to be stronger, you're going to put it through an exercise routine. And while this requires participation from the patient to go to their physical therapy sessions, to go through the practice of the physical therapy, go to the gym basically for the pelvic floor. If they're willing to do that, they can see incredible results and changes in the function of their pelvic floor. So this is a big deal, and a lot of women, especially the women that are going through it right now, those that are, between like ages, maybe 60 and 80, they don't talk about it. They're like way too embarrassed to tell anybody. But once they do, they can get a lot of relief and a lot of help. especially if you know you have these problems sooner rather than later. Like if you're in your 40s and 50s and you're having trouble with, incontinence from pelvic floor relaxation, go see your doctor. They may offer you some surgery, but don't jump at that right away. Maybe ask for a pelvic floor physical therapist that can work with you. I can show you the exercises that you could, guys, there's even devices that you can get. They're kind of like, those of you with neurological issues will be aware of TENS units. And basically they send electrical impulses through the nerves in that related area, and with electrical impulses that also stimulates muscle strengthening. And so it essentially looks like a battery operated boyfriend, and it delivers an electrical stimulus to the pelvic floor, and the pelvic floor muscles contract. So it's that contraction that's important. And that's the exercises that the physical therapist is going to have you do if you do engage their services. A lot of you may have familiarly heard it as Kegel exercises. So Kegel exercises are basically where you squeeze your pelvic floor muscles for a certain amount of time, and then you relax them. Squeeze them and relax them. Squeeze them and relax them. And what's cool about Kegels is you can do them like anywhere, whenever I say the word Kegel, I actually do one. But you can tell patients, I tell them, when you're driving, do a Kegel, or when you're, if you're watching TV and there's commercials, just do your Kegels. But you have to be on it. You have to do it like all the time. Also, a healthy sex life is good for the pelvic floor. So the more active you are, the better it will be for the pelvic floor. So yeah, pelvic health is very, very important. It's a very sensitive topic for a lot of people. Even I'm kind of shy to talk about it. And I'm a doctor and I see it all the time. So yeah, it's very interesting. The other part of pelvic floor health that I think is also really important is, and no one ever talks about this, so I'm probably the first person that's ever going to speak about this in the car on the way to my job, is the opposite of that. So if your pelvic floor is very, very tense, that directly relates to your root chakra. Okay, that part of your body where you feel safe. And so if there is an inordinate amount of tension, or if there's an inordinate amount of fear that you're not safe, then that area will be literally very, 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 very tight. And so then what you have is people having problems being able to be intimate, stooling properly, safely, because if everything's really tight down there and you pass a stool, you can actually rip things. So, and not to mention, just they go through life with an overwhelming sense of fear because that energy down there is very, very, very closed up and tight. I don't want to be like mean or anything, but it's a tight ass, so to speak. But people that are in fear will often have that problem. And that's another thing that's also not talked about. So what do we do? What do we do if our pelvic floor is too loose or too tight? Just like any muscle in the body, you want to put some focus on it. You want to pay attention to it. Just take a deep breath. Put your focus on your pelvic floor muscles. Are they too tight? Are they too loose? How does it feel down there? And there's also naturopathic practitioners, energy workers that will work with your pelvic floor. Shamanic release down there. It has to do with sexual trauma, because a lot of times people that have sexual trauma don't feel safe in their pelvic floor area, so there's a lot of tension down there. So they have difficulty being intimate and things like that. So there's a whole lot of health issues and potential issues with the pelvic floor if we don't have an awareness of it, if we don't keep it healthy, if we don't do what we need to do to feel safe, to feel like that area is protected. I'll give you an example. If you've ever seen like a dog or an animal that is in fear, they kind of like tuck their tail under their bottom. And that's exactly what humans do when they're in a state of fear. So it's the same thing. And I know it's weird to kind of talk about this, you guys, and I'm sorry if this topic turns you off, but I've been thinking about it a lot lately. There's definitely a pathology that goes with the structures of the human body surrounding that pelvic floor area. Like, And with each chakra of the body, the sacral chakra, the solar plexus chakra, the heart chakra, you can have an overabundance and an underabundance of energy. And when they're overly activated, there's too much. When they're underactivated, there's not enough. And really the root chakra has a lot to do with your fear centers. You're going to protect that area of your body if you're in a constant state of fear. So yeah, pelvic floor health. I'm going to wrap this up here in a minute after I get through this traffic light. But I really just wanted to kind of bring that all to your attention. If you guys have any further questions about it, you know, or if maybe you're dealing with this kind of thing, you want to reach out to me, I can help you work out a dialogue with your doctors, healthcare providers. I can even refer you to some energy medicine specialists that work with the pelvic floor. So if you're having any problems down there and you need some help, let me know. Put a comment or direct message me on Facebook or email me, because I think it's a big deal. Also, guys, if there's any topics you want me to touch on, I'm happy to do that. The other day, the topic I put up about healthcare choice, patients' rights and responsibilities, someone did make a comment about what do you do with children when you want to protect them from the medical system. So, for example, you don't want them to be pumped with 70 different, shots prior to them going to school, and you want to, decrease the risk of autism and things like that. Here's the deal, guys. Sometimes in some systems, if you're not following the rules that they've laid out for you to participate, they can notify the authorities. And this person mentioned that CPS comes, if you're not doing the proper vaccines. And CPS stands for Child Protective Services, and I'm very familiar with their services as well, doing what I do. Because a lot of times women will come in with all kinds of social problems, and they'll deliver a baby under really terrible circumstances, and we have to, have social work and Child Protective Services come and assess that family. But I think sometimes CPS is overused, and questioning the ability of parents to take care of their own children. So sometimes they can certainly cross a line. But that leads me into a whole different topic on participation and what you accept. Because when you participate in the public school system or in something like that, you are agreeing to their terms and conditions. And so really what it comes down to is if you're in a situation like that where the authorities are coming to you, even though you're raising your child the best way you know how, and you don't want that, you have to ask yourself if you're willing to participate in their systems in the first place. Thankfully you can still homeschool your kids in this country. If you are asking me from the United States with CPS, you probably are. Don't participate. I mean, that's a whole another big issue, homeschooling your kids, and there's resources to figure out how to do that. But, that may be what you need to do. Don't even participate. That's a tough situation. I do feel for y'all who have kids right now, because it's a weird place we live in. And, over the decades, we have slowly given up our rights by agreeing to participate in that public school system and the public health system. So, again, it's what we agree to and what we're willing to do outside of the norm in order to get what we want or to live our lives the way we want to. Big stuff, interesting stuff. All right, my friends, I am just about here, so I will leave it at that. We can talk more about public health if y'all have specific questions. Let me know if you have any topics. Give me a thumbs up, and we'll talk soon, okay? I love y'all. Have a good day. Bye.